for today is pre-prosthetic surgery, classification and vestibuloplasty with the terms of an LAQ answer. So the question asked was enumerate the various pre-prosthetic surgeries and write a note on vestibuloplasty. It was an LAQ, a 10-mark answer question. So the contents for this answer will be the introduction, as in what is a pre-prosthetic surgery, the classification of pre-prosthetic surgery, which will include the enumeration of the various surgeries which are going to take place. What is vestibuloplasty? And we have divided vestibuloplasty as maxillary vestibuloplasty procedures and mandibular vestibuloplasty procedures. So basically, pre-prosthetic surgery is concerned with the surgical modification of the alveolar process and its surrounding structures to enable fabrication of a well-fitting, comfortable, and aesthetic dental prosthesis. The goals where the pre-prosthetic surgery is indicated are basically when there are bony irregularities, prominences, undercuts, specific locations of the mental nerve and foramen, the scarring and the changes in the muscular insertions, reduced vestibular depth, as well as a flabby ridge. Coming to the classification of pre-prosthetic surgical treatment, which would include the enumeration, pre-prosthetic surgical techniques are basically divided as hard tissue and soft tissue surgical techniques. In hard tissue, we have divided them as alveolar ridge preservation, augmentation, correction, and orthognathic surgery. While the soft tissue will include frenectomy, vestibuloplasty, redundant tissue excision, and mental nerve repositioning. Today, we are concerned mostly with the vestibuloplasty techniques. In the enumeration, we can also add in the augmentation techniques of mandible and maxilla, which include superior border augmentation, inferior border augmentation, visor osteotomy, interposition bone grafting, and alveolar destruction osteogenesis in the mandible. And in the maxilla, we can add onlay bone graft, interpositional bone graft, sinus lift, and alveolar destruction osteogenesis. While in the alveolar ridge correction technique, we can add primary alveoloplasty, secondary alveoloplasty, excision of tori, mylohyoid ridge reduction, genial tubercle reduction, maxillary tuberosity reduction, and tuberoplasty. While in the soft tissue, we are going to deal with the vestibuloplasty techniques, so I have not included it in the enumeration, but as we will learn them later. And in the redundant tissue excision, we can involve alveolar flabby ridge, denture granuloma, epulis fissuratum, and reactive inflammatory hyperplasia on the palate. Coming to vestibuloplasty. So vestibuloplasty is a surgical procedure wherein the oral vestibule is deepened by changing soft tissue attachments. It is used to increase the size of the denture-bearing area by increasing the height of the vestibule. Because of residual alveolar ridge resorption, the height of the vestibule is reduced. So in these cases, we have to use vestibuloplasty techniques. Vestibuloplasty can be broadly classified as maxillary vestibuloplasty techniques and mandibular vestibuloplasty techniques. Coming to the maxillary vestibuloplasty techniques, there are mainly three. First one is mucosal advancement. Second is the maxillary inlay pocket vestibuloplasty. And the third one is a grafting vestibuloplasty. So here in the mucosal advancement vestibuloplasty, it provides an additional ridge height. The mucous membrane of the vestibule is undermined and advanced to line both sides of the extended vestibule. There are two types: the closed submucous vestibuloplasty and the open view submucous vestibuloplasty. In closed mucosal vestibuloplasty, a vertical midline incision is given and it is extended up till the zygomatic buttress on either sides. In the open vestibuloplasty, the horizontal incision is made and the supraperiosteal dissection is done. And excising muscles and subcutaneous tissues is done in the open view submucous vestibuloplasty. Inlay pocket vestibuloplasty, here we make the incision along the vestibule from one zygomatic buttress to the other zygomatic buttress up till the pyriform aperture. It gives better retention to the dentures and also improves the contour of the nasolabial fold. Coming to grafting vestibuloplasty, here there are raw surfaces on the ridge with periosteal attachment is covered with a thick thickness graft in order to maintain the depth of the vestibule at a desired level. So a graft is inserted with a vestibuloplasty. Coming to mandibular vestibuloplasty, it is performed in the labial and the buccal sulcus of the mandible and is mainly divided according to the approaches we take. So there are three main approaches: labial approach, lingual approach, and a combination of buccal and lingual vestibuloplasty. There are four main approaches in the labial vestibuloplasty techniques. One is Kazanjan's technique, the second is Goodwin's technique, the third is lip switch technique, and the fourth is Clark's technique. In Kazanjan's technique, the incision is made from the mucosa of the lip and a large flap of the labial mucosa is retracted. Basically, here the mentalis muscle attachment is detached, the mentalis muscle is detached, and the vestibule is deepened. The mentalis muscle gets attached in the chin of the soft tissue. The flap of the mucosa is turned downwards and placed against the periosteum. We can understand this better in this diagram, as we can see the dotted line in diagram A to be the incision. Then the retraction can be seen in diagram B. In diagram C, the attachment of the new height of the vestibule can be seen very prominently. Kazanjan's technique forms the basis of the other techniques, that is Goodwin's technique and lip switch technique. Coming to the Goodwin's technique, it is similar to the Kazanjan's technique, but it is done with subperiosteal stripping instead of supraperiosteal dissection. The periosteum and the connective tissue will give a better vascular supply. The periosteum and the connective tissue attached are pushed downwards and the vestibular mucosa is placed against the bone and sutured to deepen the vestibule. A rubber catheter can be placed for 11 days and the raw labial tissue can be packed with ZOE dressing, that is zinc oxide eugenol dressing. In this particular diagram, as we can see in diagram A, similar to the Kazanjan's technique, the incision is given. In diagram B, we can see the subperiosteal stripping done. And in diagram C and D, the lengthening of the vestibule can be seen, with diagram E showing the suturing. Coming to the lip switch technique, as the name suggests, we are going to lip switch. So the labial mucosa is going to go on the raw surface of the bone. The incision is similar to Kazanjan's technique, but the periosteum incised is high in the alveolar ridge below the crest and is reflected from the bone. So in this diagram, as we can see, in diagram C and D especially, the red colored part shows the periosteum and the peach colored part will show the labial vestibule. And they are literally switched from place to place. So the mucosal flap is turned to the bare bone and the periosteum is sutured deep in the vestibule. Coming to the labial approach, that is coming to the fourth approach in labial vestibuloplasty technique, that is Clark's technique. It is exactly reverse of the Kazanjan's technique. And there are basically four principles which are followed over here. The raw surface of the connective tissue has to contract. The raw surface of the bone does not undergo contraction. The repositioning and fixation of the epithelial flap must be undermined adequately, and the soft tissue tends to reposition to their normal position. These are the four principles which are which will be managed while doing the Clark's technique. Coming to the incision part, the incision is made slightly labial to the crest of the alveolar ridge. Supraperiosteal dissection is carried out until the desired depth of the sulcus. The free edge of the mucosal flap is secured to the periosteum deep in the sulcus, and the raw surface heals by granulation. Because the raw surface heals by granulation, the that is one of the drawbacks that can be seen in the Clark's technique, because relapse is very common. As in the diagram specified, we can see that the incision starts from the alveolar bone and goes to the labial mucosa, which is exactly opposite the Kazanjan's technique. Coming to the lingual vestibuloplasty procedures, here basically the mylohyoid and the genioglottal muscle attachments are detached, or they are differentiated in between. There are two techniques in general, the Turner's technique and the Caldwell's technique. The Turner's technique, here supraperiosteal dissection is carried out. From third molar to third molar, an incision is given, and mainly the mylohyoid muscle reattachment is done with percutaneous sutures on the lower border of the mandible. The mylohyoid muscle has two attachments near the molar teeth, so we can do the third molar to third molar lingual incision. The Caldwell technique, on the other hand, shows subperiosteal stripping till the desired depth of our vestibuloplasty. First molar to first molar incision is given on the posterior part of the mandibular ridge with mylohyoid muscle detachment and the mylohyoid ridge reduction. Coming to the combination of buccal and lingual vestibuloplasty techniques, it is given by Obweiser technique. It was given basically as a part of Trauner's technique with combination of the buccal techniques. So the lingual sulcus is deepened by the Trauner's technique, as we have discussed before. And here the genioglottal muscle attachment is the muscle is detached, followed by the mylohyoid muscle. So the labiobuccal vestibule is deepened as given by Obweiser skin graft vestibuloplasty. It can be better explained by this diagram. As we can see, the incision is given on the buccal aspect of the labial vestibule, as well as by Trauner's technique on the lingual vestibule, incision can be given. Thank you so much.